This is Eis Lases Lashem Hefeiru Teresecha. The taboo of not speaking about intimacy and these kinds of topics and subjects is understandable and reasonable and correct. But there comes a point where you see how much damage and how much suffering is happening because of a lack of information. You realize you have to talk about it. You have to do something about it. People go and look at secular sources for information about the most important part of Jewish life, because family is the center of everything, and the center of family is the intimacy between husband and wife. That's for their own well-being, husband and wife, and of course for the children. With the right attitudes, Mekadesh Atzmei, you have a different result. Without the Mekadesh Atzmei, it's not so good. So it's come a time where there's an emergency that this subject has to be spoken about, and it has to be understood, and it has to be taught. A Chassid said the difference between Chassidus and non-Chassidus is that religious people, frum people without Chassidus, are very careful and try very hard to be good during the 2 weeks when you're not allowed to be together. Which is rather simple. Not allowed is not allowed. A chassid is careful and tries hard to do it right during the 2 weeks that you are allowed, because that affects everything. And for that you need much more wisdom and much more information than to simply say you're not allowed. So this is actually a miftzah taras mishpacha, because taras ha-mishpacha is not only about mikveh and harchokis, it's also about life together. How you do it without becoming grub, how you do it in a way that the marriage lasts a lifetime, with dignity, with respect, with edelkeit. And in this edelkeit, there's a ladder. You grow. You keep growing. It doesn't deteriorate with time, it improves with time. And this is necessary for everybody. Chassidim, non-Chassidim, Jews, non-Jews. This is the future. I mean, this is how we create the next generation. It's got to be done right. So there's plenty of reason for making the film, and there's plenty of reason for people to see it. Now, some Rabbanim have a problem with endorsing it, but every mashpia and every Rav that has seen it thinks it's an important project. They're not used to giving a hechsher on movies, but it's all been approved and checked and seen by the best mashpiyim and the best Rabbanim, and this is something that it would be a mitzvah to be mefarsim. In a Chabad house setting, what bigger favor can you do for a balabos, for a family, for a couple, than to help them improve their intimate life? It can save their life, it can enhance their life. They will be forever indebted to you if you can do something to guide them, to inspire them, and to inform them how to go about having a kosher, edel, godly relationship, which everybody wants and everybody needs. So for the Chabad house crowd, it is certainly a blessing. And for the people, the shluchim themselves and their children, it is no less important. Should Bachrim see it? Knowing what's going on in the world and the misinformation that they already have, it would be a good thing that a Bacher should finally find out the difference between a Chassidish attitude and what they already know from the secular world the secular attitude. So although I'm not going to encourage Bacharim to go watch the film, but if they watch it, it'll be good. In the Frum Olam, in the Heimische Olam, there is a huge gap of information that results not only in poor relationships, but it turns into abusive relationships. When you don't know what you're doing in such a sensitive and personal area, it very easily becomes destructive and abusive. It has reached a crisis point, which is why you see that even in the most insulated communities, where they hardly speak English at all, they are going to non-Jewish sources for information on how to live a life in the privacy of your bedroom. And that's a double disaster, because everything that the secular world says is misleading. It's without edelkeit, it's without refinement, it's without dignity, elegance. It's nasty. And it reduces the people to a very unpleasant state of affairs. The mitzvah of being concerned with another Jew, feeling responsible, looking around and seeing what can you do to help make life better. There's no area that needs more help than this. And there's no area that will bring better results and more blessings than if you can correct this. It is absolutely a crisis and an emergency, and it has to be done. When you tell people that they have to speak to their children about this subject, they have no idea where to begin, they have no idea what to say, and they too will go looking in secular sources for what to tell their children about intimacy, about sexuality. It's a disaster. So to help parents talk to their own children, to help mashpiyim talk to their mushpoyim, to help teachers talk about it in school, this is important. Somebody asked the Rabbi whether he's a malamed, and he asked whether he should skip those psukim and those rashis that speak about intimate subjects. And the Rebbe said not to skip anything, and there's no reason to skip anything, on the condition that you can talk about this subject with the same tone of voice that you talk about any other subject. But if your tone changes, and suddenly you're a little bashful and you're a little uncomfortable, which gets your students curious about this particular subject. What is different about this? What is so heavy? What is so serious? Then you've caused some damage. If you can say it with the same tone, like you say any other pasuk in Chumash, any other Rashi in Chumash, then there's no reason that you can't say everything. So what does that mean? It means that we have to be able to see this subject as a Torah subject, not a dirty subject that you don't want to talk about, that is hard to talk about, that's embarrassing to talk about. It's Torah. It's edelkeit, it's Yiddishkeit, it's emes, it's godliness. You have to talk about it, and you have to talk about it correctly.